So good afternoon students, welcome to our new session. So today we will be dealing with these topics, that is standard deviation, variance, mean, mode, median, mean deviation, primary standard, finally the secondary standard. So let's begin. Mean. Mean means it is most commonly used measure and it can be referred as arithmetic average. Mean is calculated by observed number of outcomes of a particular sample divided by total number of outcomes. So this is the formula for calculating the mean. So mean is equal to xi means observed outcomes of a sample divided by n. N means total number of observed outcomes. Next one, mode. Mode means it is defined as the score with highest frequency. That means it is the most occurred outcome in the distribution. So let's discuss an example. So this is the example. Here you can see 56 is repeat twice and other outcomes occurs only once. So from this we could make out that 56 is the mode. Next one, median. It divides the scores into two equal parts. That means 50% will below the median and 50% will above the median. Actually we can call it as middle score. Here we are arranging the data either increasing order or decreasing order. So let's discuss an example. So this is a distribution. First of all, we have to arrange this in ascending or descending. So we are arranged in ascending order. So we are calculating this using a formula. This is the formula, that is n plus 1 divided by 2. N means number of items. So we are calculating with this formula and finally we are getting 5. So here fifth item is 18. So here medium is 80. So this is how we used to calculate median. First of all, we have to arrange it ascending or descending. Then using formula, just calculate it. Then find the median. That's it. Then mean deviation. Mean deviation means it's simple. That means we are calculating individual measurement from mean. And finally we are dividing it with total number of measurements. That is called mean deviation. So D is equal to, mean deviation is denoted by D. So xi means individual measurement. X means average, that means mean, divided by n. N means total number of measurements. Then standard deviation. Standard deviation means it is nothing, it's just square root of a mean. See, from this example we can't make it very easy. See, this is the example and this is one distribution. So first of all we are calculating the mean. Then according to standard deviation we are finding the square root. We can write either like this or this. Next one, variance. Variance means it is a square root of standard deviation. It is also known as coefficient of variation. So it is equal to S. S means standard deviation into 100 divided by X. X means our measurement. Then final one, that is primary standard. What do you mean by primary standard? Primary standard means we are dissolving particular amount in a water. Then we are making the solution to a non-volume. That is called primary standard. And there are certain conditions for the primary standard. First of all, it should be cheap and it should be easily available. and it should be very easy to purification and drying process, and it should remain in a pure state for long time. And while waiting, there should not be the change in weight. And also some items we used to store for long time, so in some cases the composition may change, but according to primary standard there should be no change in its composition during its storage condition. And primary standard, we have to check impurities. So while checking impurities, the total number of impurities should not exceed 0.01 to 0.02 percentage. That means it should be pure 99.98 or 99.99 percentage, it should be pure, and there should be equivalent weight for the primary standard, so we can avoid the errors. Then the primary standard should soluble under any condition, and we use simple indicators while titrating with primary standard. And there should not be differences between, that means theoretical yield and practical yield, there should not be no differences, that is titration error should not be there. Then the primary standard should not have water of hydration, that means there should not be any variation when they comes contact with the atmosphere, that means according to humidity, etc. Then if you are standardizing using a primary standard, we have to accurately weight the quantity. Then let's see some examples for the primary standards. So in the case of neutralization titration, that means acid base titration, the basic primary standards are there, also acidic primary standards are there. Basic primary standards example is sodium carbonate, and in the case of acidic, benzoic acid and oxalic acid. Many more examples are there. I just mentioned one or two. You can detailedly see in your textbook. Then in redox titration, oxidants and reductants. In oxidants, potassium dichromate, potassium chromate, bromate, potassium iodate. And in the case of reductants, oxalic acid, sodium oxalate, arsenic trioxide, then pure metallic ion. Then in the case of precipitation titration, the good example is sodium chloride. Then complexometer titration, pure metallic zinc and pure metallic magnesium is the good examples. Then secondary standard. Secondary standard means same standardization process takes places here. Then we'll compare it with primary standard. Actually the secondary standard do not have certain properties because they are not that much pure as primary standard, but they will change the composition during storage. So we use only primary standard for measuring the concentration of solution, because primary standard is good. For example, we want to prepare NaOH, that is 0.1 normality NaOH, but actually this is secondary standard, so it is not that much pure. So we are prepared, that means NaOH solution is standardized using a primary standard acid, that is potassium hydrogen phthalate. So it is a pure solid substance because it is primary standard. So it can be weighted accurately and we can do our titration. So mainly we don't go for secondary standard. We use only primary standard for standardization process because it is pure comparing with standard secondary standard. Next, standardization process. What do you mean by standardization process? Standardization process means it is just finding the concentration of a solution using primary standard. So standard solution we can prepare by measuring properly the primary standard substance, and we are dissolving in a solvent to a known volume. Hence, we can find out the concentration of the solution and calculate theoretically. So that is called a standardization process. So that's for today. Thank you.